No, he's in Central Maine. Ask him.
We have mics if you guys want to use them. We have mics. You gotta be ahead of the mics. It's never been a problem for me. Usually it's the other way, tone it down. And you know, as my hearing gets worse, but when she has her hearing aids, she sounds like she's calling, she's barely listening. Okay, it's 10 o'clock. Please join me in saluting our flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody, for coming to our alternate location for this meeting. I'd like to thank Maine Health Franklin for letting us use the facility on such a short notice. And thank you, whoever Roger is, for helping us switch things around in a hurry. Appointments. Appointment of Amy Bernard from Rumford, Maine as the county administrator. Need someone to make a motion?
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved. Is there a second? Moved and seconded to appoint Amy Bernard from Rumford, Maine as county administrator.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
you asked me why, and I'm asking why we do this, because on March 14th, 2023, coming out of the executive session, the motion was made to approve and sign Amy Bernard's employment contract for 3 years, 3 months, and 16 days. Seems to me that we've already done this. And the second thing that I'll go on is that I believe, and I will make a motion once other people have a chance to talk, that this be tabled until we solve the two issues that I brought up continuously about 330A, 82A, and B. And I believe there are two potential motions ultimately that need to be put on the agenda. It deals with A, saying that the administrator does not have to live in the county, and I believe that Mr. Commissioner Gilbert suggested that before. And the second, that the titles that were given to her on April 9th, 2024 for a county administrator for the unorganized territories and the money that not money doesn't change. So that needs to change also. So those are two concerns that I have, and as soon as I made a comment, I would like to table this, but I'll wait until others have a statement.
Any other comments?
Mr. Chair, could I ask Commissioner Saviello to give me that date again when the appointment was approved?
Yep, 3/14/23, March minutes, March 14, 2023, personnel matter, county administrator contract, motion to enter with Lance and Bob, entered at 4/12, exited at 4/46, a motion to approve and sign the contract, and this is very explicit in those minutes, 3 years, 3 months, and 16 days.
Chair, I guess I am wondering why we are revisiting, it seems redundant if this has already been done. Can anybody explain to me why we're doing it again? Why we are asking to reappoint someone who's already been appointed for 3 years, 3 months, and so many days?
Amy?
So that motion was to enter into a formal contract with me with the prior board. It was not a motion to appoint me as a county administrator. The commissioners, when they hired me in April of 2022, they never appointed me formally as the county administrator. They hired me as the county administrator. It was an oversight. I thought that was just being. We do not have a formal vote to make me the county administrator and appoint me as such. I was hired as the county administrator, but the appointment was never formally done. That's, I think, what's on the table right now is to formally appoint me so that there is no confusion about it. That's the stand. It's very, the appointments here aren't like they are done in towns. In towns, annually you're appointed. The county administrator is appointed for life until the commissioners decide to remove that person or that person chooses to resign. That was never done. There was never a formal vote to appoint myself as the county administrator. They hired me as the county administrator in April of 2022. That's clear. I've had the title of county administrator, but there was never a formal appointment. So if, for point of history, I am the first county administrator. The board did not technically understand that there actually had to be a formal appointment. They thought when they hired me as the county administrator that was adequate. So we're just bringing it forward for your consideration.
So may I ask, explain to me again why in March of 2023, virtually 2 years ago now, a vote was taken in executive session to appoint you.
No.
What was explained to me?
I was an at-will employee when I came on, and I asked the commissioners to sign a contract with me, and that is that vote, to enter into a contract with me for this position. There still has never been an appointment.
Ben?
Does the appointment give you any more authority than the contract does?
The appointment, my general understanding is just, you're legally making me the county administrator. Because the appointment should have been done, like you appoint a clerk, should have appointed me. Now, at the time, the board was not aware that that's what was necessary and the procedural part of making me the county administrator. It's never been done. So that's why it's being brought.
Once again, does the appointment give you any more authority than the contract gives you? We have a contract with you, this two specific duties. Is there any authority that's greater by an appointment versus a contract?
Technically, I'm not the county administrator because you have not appointed me as such. No board has appointed me as the county administrator. You have a contract with me to do this job, but it is a formality that needs to be addressed. It would be like you coming and doing your job without being sworn in. It's a far more formal process through statute for the municipalities and the county. It's just an oversight that I thought we were trying to address today.
Mr. Chair?
Tom?
I'm not opposed to making that vote that happened here today. However, I think that we need to have 2 other votes to take place at the next meeting, and this should be added to that vote at the end. One is to give the dispensation for not moving into the county, because as I questioned before, I was told that was not taken. And the second is a vote, public vote on whether that be titles of administrator for the UT and for the TIF school in place. That's all I'm asking, and then this should be the third item on that vote. So I'm not suggesting that we not take this vote. I understand what the administrator is suggesting. However, there's things that we need to do as a board to formalize it so it matches up to the contract.
Any more discussion?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to table.
We already have a motion on
No,
the floor.
motion to table.
Okay, we have a motion to table the appointment of Amy Bernard from Rumford, Maine as county administrator. Is there a second?
I will second the motion in order that we clarify the other points that the commissioners have made.
Okay, no discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, it's 3 opposed. Did you vote? In favor. 2 in favor, 3 opposed. Okay, so that was the table. So now we go back to the original motion to appoint Amy Bernard of Rumford, Maine as county administrator. Ben, you made the motion. Jeff, you seconded. Any more discussion?
I'd just like to know how you're going to address those two issues. You want those set in agenda items in the future?
Let's vote on the, let's,
No, I'm asking the question on the discussion. Are we going to discuss those? Once this vote is taken, we don't have to recognize them. So the question is, will we address those as a future agenda item? I will put it in as an agenda item.
which, okay,
We can't hear.
okay, I'm sorry.
No, you're
Yep.
fine.
We'll
So
speak
there are
up.
microphones.
Yep,
You can
yep.
pass them down. I know it's kind of a pain, but thank you.
So I will put those on as future agenda items.
So,
I believe the motion, I believe the concern is, I believe Commissioner Saviel's concern is one that I share, that we need to address those 2 other components, the residency component and
UT.
the UT component in a future, as a future agenda item.
Is there any comments? Hit, push the button.
I think according, I think that this takes a vote to authorize her living in another district, I think under that code. So that's just a vote, so I wouldn't think that would be I mean, you could do it today if you wanted to.
Tom?
Yeah, if I'm wrong.
Yeah, we have to put it as an agenda item so the public can participate if they want. So it has to
So,
be an agenda
yeah,
item.
All right. I mean, to me,
Good
that's,
suggestion. No.
I would just say, I mean, something like that to me is just a paper vote, and you just, it's just writing, saying we authorize her to live in another county. So if we want to do it on the next one, then, that's okay, but I think that's, to me, that's a minor issue.
Any other comments? So, right now we have the request to put the residency and the UT manager on the agenda for next meeting. I don't know how we do that legally.
Actually, you got, Sheriff, let me help. You got the motion to approve her
Yeah.
appointment. That's
Right.
first. And all that
Right,
was
right,
a
right.
comment. from-
So let's take a vote.
Yeah.
All in favor of the appointment of Amy Bernard as Rumford, Maine as county administrator, please raise your hand. Okay, we have 4 in favor, 1 opposed. Okay. Get that, Jamie? Okay. And we'll put the residency UT manager on the next agenda. Okay, next appointment, Flagstaff Mountain Blue Advisory Committee. The Bigelow Preserve has an advisory committee that I learned about, that there's a whole bunch of people on, that the county has no say, nothing to do with it. So I wrote an email to Bill Patterson asking for someone from the county to represent the county on that role is on the advisory for the Bigelow Preserve. And he said, yeah, I would love to have you, so I'd be willing to do that if you guys would be so inclined to appoint me.
I make the motion to appoint Bob.
Oh,
Make a motion that is a motion that we appoint Bob to that committee.
I'll second the motion, and I also, while we're here at the microphone, I will offer to be on the Mount Blue Advisory Committee with that.
Yep, okay. Keep that. So it's moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Just a question, there's two committees,
Yeah.
the Tumble Down Mount Blue, I read the materials, they're not doing anything, there's no advisory committee at this point. It's the Bigelow.
There's an advisory
Flagstaff.
committee, it's just inactive at this
It's the
time.
Flagstaff Advisory Committee, so you would need to have two votes, because
Yes,
it's
that's-
not the same committee.
That's what we're gonna do.
That's right.
That's what we're gonna do.
All I did was offer myself
Yeah.
to be considered when that vote is taken.
So,
Years from now.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
speak up.
Yeah.
What I do is, I would be glad if either one of you can't meet that meeting to be your alternative.
Any more discussion? All in favor? Okay, unanimous. Okay, I'll make the motion that we appoint Tom Schofield to the Mount Blue Advisory Committee, and that includes the Mount Blue Tumble Down, Rangeley Advisory Committee. And there's nothing active right now, but there's something will happen in the future. So at least we have a seat at the table. There's a second.
A second.
Okay, seconded by Fen. Discussion? All in favor? Unanimous, okay. We're done with that. Administrators report.
The EOC building has 80% of the floor, ceiling, complete, cabinets are being installed in the kitchen areas, as well as the other areas throughout the building. Bathrooms are near completion. The project is on track to be occupied for April 1st, with the exception of light fixtures.
Amy, is that on? Is it green? Is it green?
Yep.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Nice and loud.
Nice and loud. You want me to redirect? Can you hear me now? He doesn't like it. Now it's going green and then red. Metal. Metal. All right. my-
Speak loud.
Let's speak really loud. Okay, so the EOC building is 80% complete. The floor and ceiling are complete. The cabinets have been installed in the kitchen areas as well as some of the bathrooms. The project is on track for us to be occupying at least the administrative suite for April 1st, with the exception of light fixtures. We're working on that. The county has received an initial quote for furniture, and that will be brought up in miscellaneous, so I don't know if you want me to continue. But we did get a final quote on that, and we will be bringing it up in miscellaneous for approval. Effective February 24th, Doug Lavelle resigned as the jail administrator. The sheriff has informed us that he will be utilizing Lieutenant John Donald as the interim to run day-to-day operations until the position is filled. The job posting will go out internally and externally as soon as we do update the job description today. A deputy cruiser was hit with minor damage in a plow accident. And due to the lack of proper posting by the engineer, we have gone back out to bid for the Quick Stream Bridge on Reed Road in Salem. The bids are now due back on March 28th, 2025.
Mr. Chair, just a question, on the building, you know, we're gonna put a was it a delay on the transfer switch or something too? Is that been corrected?
Yeah, they're okay on the switches.
No.
Yeah.
The only thing we're waiting on is lighting.
Okay.
I think you're confused about the courthouse.
Oh,
Yes, the courthouse, we've ordered the transfer switch so that we have more room on the panel and creating a mechanical service. That has been ordered and we're waiting to find out what's in the end, but it said a 4-week delay.
But that doesn't have any impact. I do have some questions that I'll ask on the miscellaneous in relation to the renovations, but I'll wait
Entertain a motion?
I'll move we accept the administrator's report.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, seconded by Jeff.
Just for, Mr. Chair, if I might, because the question's been asked to me, we're not approving them, we're simply accepting them. That's something we talked about
Accept.
last time. Accept.
I will,
Thank you.
I will amend my.
No, you said accept.
That's all we have on the sheet. Okay, moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor? Unanimous? Okay, minutes. Now, we've got a whole bunch of stuff on minutes.
The first one is the minutes from the last week.
Right, so, and that would be to, the recommendation would be to approve the minutes of February 18th, 2025.
I make a motion to approve those minutes.
Second the motion.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, that one's done. We're gonna skip the treasurer's report for a second, just get these in line, Pam, if you don't mind. The next one is to rescind the motion to approve the minutes of February 4th, 2025. Commissioners meeting minutes of February 4th inadvertently reported the executive session motions incorrectly.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Moved and seconded to rescind. All in favor? Okay. Next one. Amend the minutes of February 4th, 2025. Commissioners approved the commissioners meeting minutes for February 4th, 2025 to February 18th meeting. There was an error in the reporting of the executive session in that it looked like a motion was made in the executive session. However, that was not what occurred. Entertain a motion?
I make a motion that we amend the commission's meeting minutes of February 4th as stated by the chair.
Second.
Okay. Nate?
So the minutes of February 4th, having just been rescinded, are no longer active, they're not on the table.
Right.
Amending them is not a proper procedural action. Now that they're not on the table, what you could do is put a motion to approve them. You could take them from not on the table to being approved.
Okay.
But to amend them, there have to be an active version of them on the table.
So what they said was they made a motion to amend the approval of the minutes, not to amend them. So they rescinded the approval of the minutes. It's a difference. They didn't rescind the minutes, they rescinded the approval of the minutes.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I would think this is confusing.
Sorry, I'm out of order.
Yeah, the only way that I might have done it differently would be reconsider the minutes, but I think we're okay. This is the way that the motion, good point.
Excellent point, Nate. Bottom line is we're correcting it. And if we get there by going around Robin Hood's barn. Okay, so we're gonna, motion's been made. Is there a second? And who seconded it?
I didn't.
Okay, second, okay. All in favor? All right, that one's behind us. Pam, treasurer's report.
Do we need now to approve the amended minutes?
Wait a minute.
We amended them. We now need to approve.
I thought that's what we just did.
Yeah, We amended them, but we didn't.
Now we have to.
Okay, one more time.
We approve the amended minutes.
Okay.
I'll second.
To approve the amended minutes, motion's been made and seconded. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Unanimous. Okay. Let's put that one behind us. Pam, Treasurer's Report.
Good morning.
Would you like a,
Any comments, questions? Okay, I did not have the, it's flashing red and green. I don't,
Solid green.
just speak loud.
I did not have the information on the warrants at the time I prepared the report, so I apologize for that.
Did we receive all the tax payments?
No, we have not.
How many
And
were lacking?
I'm in touch with the municipalities that haven't paid yet.
And that's, how many?
There are 3.
3. All right. Ben?
Have they passed the grace period?
No, not at all. The grace period ends on April 1st, and we would charge them interest before then, or by then, at that date.
Thank you.
Entertain a motion?
Move to accept the treasurer's report.
I will second the motion to accept.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the treasurer's report. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Okay, thank you.
Yes, the microphone warmed up, so I
Now
would
it's
say
working.
thank you.
Okay. Okay, our next item is UMF President Joe McDonald. Status of UMF. Welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the invitation. I'm glad to update you about the university. This university has been in the county since 1864. It started as the Western Normal School, normal meaning that we were training teachers with norms, not normal as opposed to abnormal, but norms was the way in which we began, and we continue to do that. When there was a new normal school that was created in Gorham, that was called the Western Normal School. So we became the Northern Normal School. But then a normal school opened up in Aroostook County, and that was called the Northern Normal School. So we did not want to continue to change our name, so we thought there would not be another normal school in Farmington. So we went with the name Farmington, and that has been our name ever since. But we started because there was a need in the community, and the need was for teachers, and we still do that. There is still an urgent need in Western Maine and actually throughout the entire state for qualified teachers. But we are branched beyond education now to the preparation of teachers, but we still want to be focused on the needs of the community. Right now, UMF has an annual budget of $42 million. So this is a major player in this county. We get about 15 million of those dollars from the state. Our students get about $9 million from the federal government, so federal grants to students, very important to us. And the state, students get support from the state for about $1.5 million. We have 307 employees at the university. 257 of those are full-time and 50 are part-time. Our enrollment is at 1,547 this spring, which is up compared to last year by almost 7%. But to give you
Can I ask you that number again, the student population?
1,548 students we have. But if you look over the longer period of time, certainly over 5 years, we're down in enrollment. And if you look over even a longer period of time, we're down even further. A better way of looking at the university besides enrollment is credit hours. Credit hours equates to the revenue that the university brings in, because a student may be a full-time student with a higher payment than a student who might be only taking one course, a part-time student. And we have seen the ratio of students from full-time students, when population of 18 to 21-year-old students in Maine was higher, we had many more of those full-time students. Now we have many more graduate and part-time students that come to the university. So while the enrollment is good, the credit hours tend to be lower, slightly lower than last year. But if you go over a 5-year period, they're about 24% lower. So you can see the effect on revenue has been significant. And that is the difference between full-time and more part-time students. But when you have more part-time, when you have fewer students who are graduating from high school in Maine, and fewer still going on to universities, the importance of having graduate students and part-time students increases. And those students tend to be students that we would take online. So all of the universities in the state have been developing online programs as well as our residential programs. We are primarily a residential school. We primarily focus on the younger student. But there aren't enough younger students to support the university, and that's why we have part-time students. We have 36 different majors. We have 36 different majors, but these majors could be put into 5 categories, essentially. We have programs that are in education, and a variety of education programs. We train teachers for early childhood, elementary, middle school, secondary, and then we have graduate students as well. And special education is very important, and we have one of the premier programs in the state in special education, and premier program in early childhood. And our Sweat Winter Early Childhood Center is a valuable contribution not only to our students but also to the community. The second area that we have is programs in health. And we have certainly programs in biology, programs in community and public health, psychology and mental health and counseling, rehabilitation and human services, and we have a program in nursing that we run in cooperation with the University of Maine at Augusta. And certainly our Fitness and Recreation Center contributes to the health of the local community because community members come into that program. The third programs that we have is in the environment. We have programs in environmental science and in geography, in geology, and in environmental planning. So we are a university that is very dedicated to the environment We are essentially free of fossil fuels. We run all of our heating with wood chips. And the fourth area is areas in business and policy. Certainly our outdoor recreation and business program is a premier program in the state. We have social sciences, actuarial sciences, math, and various business programs. And we have recently received a grant from the Northern Border Commission to increase the number of students who graduate in outdoor recreation to support Western Maine's recreation industry. And then the final area is in the creative arts, where we have programs in creative writing. We are one of the most premier programs in creative writing in the state. We have a program in art and design, English, theater, music, and even video game design, which is a new program for us. And certainly our Emory program, Emory Community Arts Center, is a great contribution to the community. So students come here to Western Maine certainly because of our programs, particularly programs in education and in creative writing, but they also come because of the geography of Western Maine. We have a wonderful skiing program. Our students are off into the nationals now. Other students come for other athletic sports that we run. But the proximity to the mountains and the proximity to the town of Farmington is essential to the character of this university. So, look, universities face extraordinary challenges these days with the community colleges offering free tuition to students. That has drained students, and of course, just the demographics of fewer students who are at this age group is another great challenge. Maine is overbuilt for universities. There are 7 public universities, 7 community colleges, 3 elite private schools, and there are 4 or 5 other private colleges, all competing for a limited number of students. So the support that the community provides to this university is essential to keep this university healthy. So we look forward to a close working relationship with the community. We want this to be a university that is for the community. We certainly are interested in keeping our tradition of being a university that serves the local community. So I'm glad to answer any questions that you may have.
You didn't mention online learning at all. Has that had an impact on enrollment?
Yes, I thought the part-time and graduate programs that we have are online. So online has had a huge impact in higher education. And there is a value to young students to have face-to-face interaction, because one of the most important things that people need to learn is to interact with each other. And young people live in their phones now, so to have an education that is also remote is not giving the students those soft skills that they need. But in order to get adults to come into the university, people who may not have gone to the university or dropped out of the university, but now discover that they're in their 30s or even 40s that want to come back to the university, to reach them online is the most effective way, because these students are managing their work life, they're managing a family life, and to be able to take courses online is very convenient for them. So our part-time and our graduate students are largely online, and we will be growing those those programs because the demographic of high school graduates is shrinking.
Thank you for being here. There was a time, I believe, that Franklin County residents got a break as far as the tuition cost. Is that still in play?
They get a break in housing costs. And so students who live in the community can come in, I think for the first year, there's no cost for housing.
And roughly, how many students do you house? What is the residency there? You know that out of the...
So we house about 650 students on premises. We have capacity for more. So we would like to have more on campus, but we currently have about 650.
And how many more would you be able to house? Another 100? We could house another 200, although there's a tendency now for students to want single rooms rather than doubles, so that does change the dynamic. But we are looking to, we're going to do a feasibility study to see if we can convert some of our housing to alternative use. So should there be the need for adult housing or workforce housing or even a hotel are considerations that we are undertaking to better utilize our facilities. And lastly, if I may, do you have any thoughts on what we as a board can do to contribute to the enhancement of the university here in Franklin County?
Well, I mean, we have a lot of expertise on campus. And if there is need for some studies that you need to do, we could do that. We cannot do things without a revenue source, but to take advantage of what we have here is certainly something that we would be very open to helping the community. We want to be we're a major player economically, but also intellectually, where we have resources that can help the community. And the more there's interaction between the university and the community, it's a good education tool for our students, just as our education students go into the schools, and we are one of the universities that are very hands-on. So we send our education students into the classroom, not just at the end, but really all along the way. But that could be done in other areas as well, so that the learning is done in the community, in the way our counseling students or nursing students go into the community. The more that we can have a university that is engaged with the community, it's a win for the community, but it's also a win for us and our students.
Good.
Two questions. First question, you also
You got.
you also have a pretty significant veterans
Program that's going on. Why don't you just briefly touch on that, because that has grown significantly, and then I have one more question after that.
Yeah, we have looked to the veteran community as a source of students, but also a source of service to our community. We have about 39 veterans who are students, and we're working hard we look at veterans as a group to recruit. So it is a target that we have. My assistant is a Navy veteran, and he's sort of spearheading this on campus. And we have a residence area that veterans can live in if they would like to live with other veterans. And we have been really reaching out to American Legion and other veteran organizations to become partners. So that's another source in which we feel as if the community, the university and the community can come together around a common interest.
Good, Tom.
Last question is how, if necessary, can we advocate for you in Augusta or someplace if you need us?
Well, look, I mean, universities are closing all over this country. This university is not in jeopardy, but resources are very scarce, and we've seen coming out of Washington that some of the federal funding is being taken away that universities have received. So it's very important that the local community recognize the importance of this university to not only just survive. I mean, we're going to survive. That's not the question, but that we really thrive and that we be a major player in the state and in the local community. So I think it is in the county's interest to have a very strong university here. So anything that you can do, certainly in Augusta or in Washington, would be welcome. Or with private funding as well, grants that we can receive. So thank you.
Any other questions? Good.
Is there an opportunity for county government to use student interns? Is there a way to use work-study money coupled with funds from the county to maybe involve students more in our process?
I would say that would be most welcome. That would be most welcome. The students that we serve, are not typically not wealthy, and so they're looking for jobs, and so they can't do it for nothing. But if you have resources that they could be hired, that would be most welcome.
And would the county be eligible to use work-study in combination with that? Work-study funds,
Well, the university has some work-study
Yeah.
funds, and we might be able to partner in some way.
Any other questions? Thank you, Joe.
Well, thank you very
Appreciate
much.
it. Mr. Woodworth, you're up.
You have in your packet,
Microphone.
do I need it?
Yes. Definitely.
As the administrator of the TIF committee, we've heard from the student, compiled a packet that you have, and the committee has reviewed the materials and approved the student's request for funding. And I ask that you weigh in on it.
So this student that's requesting is in a nursing program, correct?
Yes. Yeah, they're in a active work study right here.
Okay. And I think in my discussions with you, she's on the tail end of things.
Yes.
And so she'll have a position here.
Correct. And there was a letter of support from
Yep.
her supervisor here at the hospital,
Yep.
endorsing her.
Need a motion?
Motion to approve $24,141 out of the TIF as requested.
I second that motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the TIF scholarship for Samantha Davidonsky in the amount of $24,141. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Calderwood Engineering, Orbited Stream Bridge, Reeds Mill Road.
Hello everyone, thanks for having me. So yeah, we have the bids for the Reeds Mill Bridge.
Can you introduce yourself?
Peter Copley with Calderwood Engineering. I did the design of the bridge, kind of managed the whole thing. So I have the electronic bids here. Did the county receive any delivered to them personally?
No.
Nope. Okay, so I'll open these that we received electronically. I wanted to note before that we have changed the specifications and how they're going to bid because we got an RFI that said that a 60-day closure was, going to be difficult to build. So we wanted to have the option for a 90-day closure upon approval. So these bids will include both prices for a 60-day closure and a 90-day closure. So I'll open them.
Mr. Chair, just a question, and maybe I'm confused, which is easy to do. When you gave the update, you said we had to go back out to bid?
Different bridge. Different, we have two bridges.
I got it.
Yeah.
Yep,
This
so
is
it's
the
in-
Magic Bridge.
I got it.
Yeah.
Thank you, sorry.
Okay, the first bid is from Wyman and Simpson, and the 60-day closure price is $1,094,980, and the 90-day closure is $1,044,980. And then the second bid is from CPM, and they did.
Who is it again?
CPM,
Okay, yeah.
second one is CPM. They said $1,213,428. That's for the 60-day closure. And for the 90, they said $1,188,981. And it says on their bid, they are bidding only to perform the work during the 2026 construction season. So that's not what our specifications were for building it this year, but they bid for construction next year, I guess.
So really, it comes down to one bid.
Yeah, it comes down to Wyman and Simpson to do it this year. I know the 90-day closure was the approval here. Obviously, the 60-day was to keep it within the school.
So this bid is just for the replacement of the deck and seal, doesn't, I remember seeing something about the in-stream work that U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service weighed in and said it's going to take 120 days to do their thing.
Yeah, so this bid should include all of the work, including the in-stream work. Like I said, the permitting process became a lot more detailed, and now we have to do a formal permit process through them. So that could also influence kind of why prices are a bit higher than I expected. But this should include all of the work. And doing that in-stream work is dependent on receiving that permit.
You've worked with Wyman and Simpson before?
Yep.
I've seen them doing lots of bridges,
Yeah,
so I think they know what they're doing.
Yeah, they handle big scale projects.
Yep, yep.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Tom.
just a question, and having done this in Wilton, sometimes we open bids like you did, and we would approve them conditionally on your total review of them and that they have met the specifications that were required. You're not gonna have a chance to do that, have you? Obviously, if you just open them, probably not.
Yeah, I mean, I can look through, I don't think there's any out of the specification work, so everything that let me take a look.
Well, what I'm just, if I could, is that I make a motion that we accept that bid, if this is appropriate for us, with the condition that it meets all of the requirements that were established and so forth. So don't come back to this. If it's okay, you're good to go. If you're not, then you come back. Does that make sense?
Yes. Do you want to make that
I
motion?
make a motion that we approve the award the bid based on your review to make sure all the conditions are met that we asked for.
Okay.
All second.
Okay, we move in second. Discussion. Amy?
So are we going with a 30-day,
Well,
60-day closure or a 90-day closure?
That's what I want to talk about in
And
discussion.
I'd like to explain why we did the 60-day closure so that, because you're all, it's been a really long process, like a year and a half. There is a huge detour for this. When this bridge is down, it is a 30-mile detour. So asking the school district to have kids on the bus for an additional 30 miles is extremely problematic. And then the people living on the other side or this side, there's a significant delay in emergency services. So I just want to be clear on why we said, hey, we really just want this to be closed while school is out, because that will be the least impactful to that area as well as the residents of Madrid, because this is a fairly traversed road, even though the state deems it our business. It is a pretty well-traveled road, and it is a point that we spent another $100,000 to put in a temporary bridge so that this was not shut down to the buses as well as the trucks, because the other side is pretty bad in the spring. So I just want you to give the reasons why we said 60 days. It's about $50,000 difference, so that you make a well-informed decision.
Exactly, and I think this has gone on a long time, and I get a lot of calls. People say, is that temporary bridge going to be the permanent bridge? I said, no, it's not. And the difference, I think, between the two is like 50,000, which is, in the scope of things, is peanuts. I'd just like to ask Bob, anything you want to add to this?
No, I'd like to get the engineer's recommendations. I haven't had a chance to review bids myself either. I just want to take a review. Quickly talk about it, Amy. I feel very strongly that if we can get it in 60 days instead of 90, it's good insurance for the county to get that work done. And additionally, if for some reason the schedule doesn't stay what it's supposed to, we can very likely still stay within the 90-day window versus anything being pushed out beyond 90 and take a 90-day initial contract.
Good, thank you.
Could I add something to that? One concern that I have is, Wyman is the contractor that put out the RFI, worried that they wouldn't be able to complete it in that time. So my concern could be that this bid price could just include supplemental damages, or liquidated damages, so which kind of allows them to go beyond the date anyways. They could still take more than 60 days and just pay for it out of their pocket. In our specs, it's $1,000 a day. So they could, pay the damages either way. So I think it'll even out either way.
But at $1,000 a day, it's not really in their interest to
That's right.
drag it on. Okay.
Yep.
So
The other, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, so I always intended it to be 60 days. Is that my motion, or do you prefer to just be wide open?
No, I think it needs to be specific in the motion.
So my motion was to include it as a 60-day
Okay.
window.
All second.
Okay. Ben?
Does the motion have to include the amount in the company?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I opposed
As the bid for Wyman and Simpson.
You want to read the numbers?
Sure.
again?
Yep. For the 60-day for Wyman and Simpson is $1,094,980.
For that amount.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. Any more discussion? Let's get this sucker built.
Let's do it.
All in favor? Thank you. Appreciate it. And you'll go through that in more detail. Just
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Jail administrator, job description.
So, you know, with the recent turnover of the jail administrator, we recognize that the job description was quite dated. So, the sheriff's here to speak to it as well, but the sheriff gave me basically what he wanted to kind of model, which is Somerset, because they're an accredited jail. So, I'll let him speak to that.
Yeah, I mean, basically, no sense of reinventing the wheel. Somerset County's a nationally accredited jail, and I took their job description and working with Tiffany, we modified it to meet the needs of our jail. So that's what you have before you today. And so hopefully if that's approved today, we'll get that out so we can get this process started.
Should go right out.
Yeah.
Yep. Entertain a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I will move that we accept the job description as presented.
Been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? Ben?
I noticed that, I don't know if this is for the sheriff, you're looking very dapper today.
Oh, thank you very much. Just for you, sir.
I thought that was for me.
You too.
I noticed that the first item is it's an executive level position. What's executive level?
That means senior management.
Senior management.
Senior management, not just supervisory, but senior management level. We're all, you know, over multiple entities within a certain structure. So, yes.
And how many employees does this person have for?
22 at the jail currently, not including the 3 that we just added on recently. So,
That's 25.
At 25 when they're up and running.
I was struck by talking points that the Maine County Commission Association had about the jails when they were trying to reach more funds. You probably saw that you probably spoke for that, didn't you?
I wasn't there for that, no.
It says that 90% of the county jail residents are pre-trial. Is that true?
That's absolutely true.
Wow. It says that approximately 75% of individuals housed in county jails are classified as having a substance abuse disorder, or over 60% are classified as having mental health. Is that true in our jails as well?
That's absolutely true. We are, if you compare a county jail to the state Department of Corrections prison system, we are like an emergency room. We bring in people in their very worst state, and they're held there. Hopefully we get them off there if they're held for a particularly heinous crime. They're there for a number of weeks or months. And while they're there, we try to get them through our medical assisted treatment programs to get off the opioids. And we have other programs that work with that as well. Counseling, that sort of thing. And by the time they get done their adjudication and if they're guilty and they're sentenced, then they get shipped in a right mind to the state prison system. But we're like an emergency room. We get them in the worst state. You know, they come in the emergency room here at the hospital, they're in bad shape. They don't go upstairs until they get, somewhat settled down before they get shipped upstairs. And so if you look at this in comparison to hospitals, we're the same way.
So, relative to all of that, what do you envision this new person to have for skills? What would you like to have them be?
I want the new jail administrator to be someone who can manage people and manage programs within the facility and have buy-in to everything we're trying to do there. Through this COSSUP grant, we're trying to institute a new program that we get people when they come in, drug addicted, alcohol addicted. We're trying to get them off the drugs and off the alcohol. So hopefully we'll reduce the amount of recidivism we're seeing within the jail itself. Arresting people just doesn't work. So working with the criminal justice program and working with this new COSSUP grant that we have, we're hoping to show a reduction in the amount of people showing up at the jail. Somerset, I can't remember what the exact numbers are, but they can show, they've been on the same type of program similar to what we're doing, or we're going to be doing soon. And they've been showing a reduction in the amount of people who keep coming back and coming back and coming back to the jail. So that's what we're trying to do at our facility. We're trying to get these people help beyond the walls of the jail itself. We want to get away from a situation where we're just housing people to a situation where we can do what we can within our means to help them hopefully hand them off to an outside entity once they leave our walls.
So I've been impressed with this new direction because I think it's extremely important. And I hope that this new leader that we bring in brings added skills that we don't have. So
Yeah,
that we can
well-
make the transformation. that we need to make.
The biggest thing I'm looking for when we bring somebody in is somebody who can handle people. We need a people manager. Once we get the people managed within the facility, then other things will start working well. But if the cogs are broken, things don't work so well. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for somebody who has experience managing people. The other stuff can be learned, but we just need someone who's skilled and has some jail experience, of course, but somebody who's skilled in managing people. That's what I'm looking for.
Scott, I didn't see anything in there about the Board of Visitors. I know that's an important part of your jail.
Yeah.
Is that automatically assumed? I mean, they work with the Board of Visitors?
Yeah, that's just one of those automatically assumed things, that they work with the Board of Visitors, you know. And what they're doing, they're just allowing, you know, recognizing and allowing the Board of Visitors to come and go when they need to.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion? So we have a motion? Yes, we had a motion and seconded. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? That would be unanimous.
Gentlemen.
Thank you. Okay, opioid committee, request for funds.
We're about ready to go. We've got our program together, we've got letters of acceptance and rejection, and so what I need to do is to request a release of $150,000 so that we can begin a search for those that have programs that would like to take advantage of this, that then we can go through, get ready to award those things and come back to this group to say, this is a group that we've decided to award some of that money so they can go forward. So I just need approval from this board to work with that money.
How much is, so you're asking for the 150, what is there, is there anything remaining from the first round?
Yeah, that includes the balance.
Oh, okay, so you're asking for 100, is there 50 in there now?
150.
Is it approximately?
53 something.
Yeah. Approximately 53,000.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I will move that amount for this program.
Okay. Need a second? Okay, seconded by Jeff, that we bring forward $150,000,
Just so give us, so it's our budget to work with.
a budget of $150,000 to work with the opioid committee. So moved and seconded. Any more discussion?
Good question. So that those applicants will come back to the board?
Ultimately, we'll go through this very subjective evaluation of which, once we have it live, I would invite all of you to go and actually just type in numbers and follow it. It's pretty significant. Is that when we figure out we have somebody where we can send an acceptance letter to, will be on the agenda for your final approval.
Any more discussion?
I didn't know if everybody knew what that was. Probably everybody knows what that is.
Sergeant Close, you'd like to speak?
I'm quite certain I don't need that.
Okay.
I just want to let you know that in working with the Moss Center at the University of Southern Maine, along with our group here in Franklin County, Franklin County's opioid settlement committee and the process by which we've been going through and how this has kind of morphed and developed is absolutely a standard that other counties in the state are trying to move to, other municipalities are trying to move to. The Moss Center, which is being funded by the Attorney General's office to advise the entire state, has been working with us. They've been phenomenal to work with, but they've also been looking at some of the decision making that we've been engaged in, and they're looking to replicate that throughout the state. That's a huge testament to Sue, Commissioner Saviello, and the other members of the opioid settlement committee, and I thought you guys ought to know that.
Excellent.
One of the few areas that we are leading the state in.
Excellent, thank you.
And I suspect we will be live, our target is first April. So, and I want to reiterate what the sergeant said, this really rests on Sue Pratt, because she became the backbone of this organization to keep it going. Trust me, when I hurt my back and I couldn't remember anything, when we had the meeting, she carried the water for us. So my thank you to you for doing that. This is going to be a success for us.
That's great
not
news.
me, it's really the team.
Okay,
I have to
it's
say
a great
that.
team. I was on this initially, and just the engagement there was phenomenal. Okay, so we've got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Unanimous. Okay. RHR Smith and Company, UT engagement letter for audit.
This engagement,
Is it green?
for it to settle down. Well, the engagement letter in your packet is for the audited services for the unorganized territory. It's very similar to the engagement letter from 4 months ago, which was for the county. They're two separate entities, so an engagement letter is required for each. And in this case, it was a little bit of a delay. I don't know why, but I think the auditing firm is just trying to cross all the T's and dot the I's, and so this engagement letter, even though the engagement has begun, is required. And I've looked it over, I have signed the original, and this here is a little different from a year ago. A year ago, there was not a governance signature required. There are two signatures now required on engagement letters. One is management, which is us who do the management. The governance signature represents the board, so that's why the board needs to authorize one person, typically the chairperson, to sign the engagement letter. The other difference is it is costing a little bit more this year, $460 for a total of $2,760. There's a change in formatting for the letter from a year ago, but I've read through it all, and I don't think that there are any things that we need to be concerned about as significant changes. The other thing I want to mention that it has been helpful having the services of Mark Roy, who's a CPA accountant, which helps us with financial statements and reports and submitting information to the auditing firm. And that's very helpful in getting through these audits.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
I will move that we that we authorize the chair to sign the engagement letter with RHR Smith.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to authorize the chair to sign the engagement letter. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Okay, thank you, Pam.
I just want to mention, once you sign that, I'll take it back to the office, scan it, and email the scan to the auditing firm, and then I'll give the original to Jamie for records.
Okay, next we have the RFQ for HR consulting services. Tiffany?
Yeah, so you as a board have requested that I develop an RFQ to go to bid for agricultural evaluation countywide. I've prepared a document for you, and we collectively, separately, I've gotten feedback from you on revisions throughout this process, and I've incorporated those revisions as requested. So hopefully we've got a finished product for you to approve, and we can get it out of it.
Chair, so moved.
Okay, it's been moved to move forward.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Sue?
I do have a question, where the funds are gonna be to pay for this.
Where are the funds going to come from? I guess I don't know. It's a good question, Sue.
So, Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
So one of my questions later I have is, what is the difference between discretionary, restricted, non-restricted, and so forth? Non-restricted account contingency, surplus, and unallocated funds. Seems to me this would come from unallocated funds.
That would be my thought. I just don't know what that balance is.
don't ever expend money out of the unrestricted fund balance. So you have to pick an expense line, and then at the end of the fiscal year, the auditor will make the adjustment either through contingency or through the fund balance.
So,
Go ahead.
if I understand, we have set a line for where we want to charge to.
No.
And then at the end, we'll pay it out of that line, and whatever money we have to move at the end of the year into.
That's correct.
So I would assume this would come out of the HR account.
Okay. And there's funds there and those other balances to pay for this.
Well, I think we need to know what the cost will be.
Exactly.
And then
Yeah.
we can determine, we'll make sure that we know what the fund balance is, and you can make a decision from there.
Yes, sir.
Amy, so the two potential sources at the end of the year would be contingency, or what was that one?
Undesignated fund balance or unrestricted funds.
Those are the two options.
Yeah, you also have a benefit liability fund that there's a statute that allows you to utilize when you have overages for, salaries and adjustments such as that. We have a pretty hefty overlay because we had anticipated, the, minimum wage for exempt employees to be, instituted, and that did not get instituted. So it really depends on how much this is going to cost.
Does that answer the registrar's question?
According to the statutes, Title 30A, section such and such, I mean, it mentions contingent fund may be used with the discretion of the county commissioners for emergency purposes only. Sounds like maybe this might come out the next strategic planning invoice. They're talking about taking out a contingent. Not sure that constitutes an emergency.
Any questions? And one other source of funds were the interest that was earned off ARPA. Does that go into fund balance automatically, or is that a separate fund?
That's a separate fund.
So could this be an activity within ARPA that would be a?
So it would be separate from ARPA, and you could fund it through the interest in the ARPA account as well, yes.
If I may, the
Good, so
ARPA interest is not the responsibility of ARPA. The statute is very clear that the interest is the responsibility of the board to decide how that's spent. We have not transferred it out of the whole ARPA program yet, but it's completely separate as an entity, and it's approximately $270,000.
So, I guess just trying to understand Sue's reservation. Was your reservation that we would have to classify this as an emergency to make an expense? Or was there something?
I'm just reading the statute. It says for emergency only. I think, to me, it's like, okay, you're going through your budget year, something comes up, and you don't have the money itemized in your budget. I mean, that's what that's for. I don't think this constitutes getting an HR firm in here to do an evaluation of the county employees as an emergency.
Mr. Chair?
Come on,
Mr. Chair, I'm trying to figure a way to frame this. When we have heard from a number of employees in this county about the concerns that they've had about the management of this county and how in the direction we're going administratively. Enough to the point that it's been the big elephant in the room. I almost believe that this is an emergency. And if you folks don't agree with it, then I suggest that we all put a smile on our face and deal with each other in a nice manner. And I don't want to hear any more scuttlebutt and whining about the way things are going. because I think we need to get this off the table. And if employees don't want to get it off the table, if they just want to continue to precipitate this, lack of a better word, aggravation within the county, then I suggest that maybe they are doing that. I suggest that maybe that's part of their recreation. So thank you.
Tom?
Mr. Chair, I just think we've heard, and you're learning a lot about ARPA funds and interest and so forth, and doing my own research. We have an account ultimately we can go to whether we deem it an emergency or not. It's that's the interest. Because that's basically unrestricted, as I understand it correctly, can be used for what we think it needs to be used for within the county. And there are two ways that money can be used. One, we could enhance any project we funded, or two, it can go to something the county decides it needs. And that's what it's being done, just like the renovations. It's in the law.
Sue?
I just want to clarify, Tom, there is a problem, and I am all for this firm coming in. I'm not against that at all. I'm just saying, I don't know that it's an emergency to use out of those particular funds. That's all I'm saying.
Noted. Pam?
Yeah, I don't know if you are aware that when a budget is approved, at the end of the budget cycle, it can't be altered by the commissioners, and included in the budget is an estimate of the revenues. And at the bottom of the list of the different sources of those revenues is miscellaneous income. That's where interest lies from bank account or bank accounts that can be used in the general fund. And I see, because ARPA does not consider the interest to be their responsibility with the counties, I see interest that we make from our bank accounts as revenue. And I think it should be received in as revenue. But I can't really give an opinion as to what the statutes mean when they provide for certain uses of funds and whether you actually have to stick to a budget or not.
Mr. Chair. So I did the homework on this because I heard that question. And what we're doing is absolutely correct. We have the ability to design and create our own line item with the interest from ARPA. And you have two choices. Choice one is you can put the money into an existing project like the EOC or whatever we call it, emergency building, or we can put it into something else that the community or the county does, just like it's being done with the renovations at the facility. That can be done. It's clear in the law, and it's basically under the ARPA interest stuff. So if you look that up, you'll find I did my homework on it. It does not have to have, it can be approved by us as commissioners to use that fund.
Mr. Chair, I'm wondering whether that was an opinion about Title 30A, or was it an opinion about what Title 30A says?
If we define it as surplus, it needs to go through the criteria that's spelled out. We're not defining it as surplus, we're defining it as unrestricted funds, which we can use in any way we'd like to use.
And
That's
Mr. Chairman, the source that you spoke to, just because.
I don't have I can look up the federal law, but I looked up, but I don't remember it off the top of my head.
I see.
30A 924, I believe, has a hierarchy that you're supposed to do if it's surplus funds. We have not defined it as surplus, we've defined it as unrestricted. That's literally in our.
I apologize, I thought he spoke this morning.
Nope. Any more discussion?
I just want to echo Commissioner Schofield's comments that we as a commission just started with 5 new commissioners, and it's a new beginning, and we got to start moving forward, and we can't just be wallowing in the past, and I mean that. We got to run a county. We're the oldest state in the oldest people in the states of the 50 states. We have more people dying than growing. Now, either we get together and move forward and make this county one of the best counties in the state of Maine, or we're going to swallow in this muck. And forgive me for getting ugly here, but man, we got opportunities galore.
I mean, there's an OSB plant coming in Jay. I mean, the jails, I mean, I see positivity there. And we can't wallow in stuff. And I understand people's, I don't know what, people sometimes come at odds. But there's a Bible verse that iron sharpens iron. Sometimes we got to look at ourselves and we say, what am I doing to make this county move forward? How am I working together with everyone in the operation to make it happen? How are we serving the residents of Franklin County in its best ways? So I echo what Commissioner Schofield said. We need to move forward, and I see opportunity. I see things for the future, and I hope we're going to get there sooner or later. So, but that's my 2 cents. So.
Good. So, I can't remember if we have a motion on this at all.
Move forward, yeah, I committed to
Moved and seconded. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Okay. Memorandum of...
Right, so Jeff, are you voting or not voting? Opposing? Okay. You're opposing the motion for the RFQ?
Excuse me?
You're
Opposing the
motion
RFQ.
to move.
Sorry, I didn't see that. Memorandum of Agreement, NCEU. Tiffany.
So, in December, we installed 2 cameras, one in upper and one in lower level of the jail. The union came to us and said, this is an impact bargaining item. We need to come to the table and create some language around these cameras and how they'll be used. They didn't want to see any micromanaging, constant monitoring of these cameras when it comes to the staff side. So collectively, administration came up with, in conjunction with the union, on some language that we could all agree on. This is the final product for you to approve and sign. Share, speak to anything.
Scott?
It was just, we have, without getting into personal issues, we had we had a need to add cameras in certain locations of the jail. And the union, of course, opposed that. And so after very long negotiations back and forth between myself, Tiffany, and the representative from the union, we come up with this language, and we think we can live with this. So that's what we're bringing before you today.
Entertain a motion.
Motion to sign.
Second.
Okay. Moved and seconded to sign the memorandum of understanding between the county and NCEU regarding electronic monitoring. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Done. Thank you. Road postings.
So historically, when the weather gets warm, we post roads. Last year we posted them the first week of February. It was an unusually warm winter. 2 days from now it's supposed to be 50 degrees. We're supposed to get an inch of rain. We are asking, because you are the road commissioners for the unorganized territory, to authorize the road supervisor to post the roads when neighboring towns post their roads, because it's an interconnected system. So I would like you to give Mr. Lightbody the authority to post the roads when the neighboring towns post the roads in Central Franklin.
I'll second.
We moved and seconded. Discussion. Another thing I'd ask is, as you do that, communicate with Amy or us, because when the roads aren't posted or they are posted, my phone rings. Because I think Tom and I have all the UT roads in our district, so and I wouldn't necessarily wait for the other towns. When you think it's ready, you do it. So it's been moved and seconded. Fenn, does the road commissioner have an opinion?
Kind of what Amy said is sort of what I was going on. Obviously, looking at the other towns, surrounding areas, and I've kind of got my eye on Wednesday. Really, we're getting towards the middle of March. I'm not going to push this thing out too much further anyway. So I'm going to take a really hard look at things by the end of this week. And, you know, we're at March 8th or so by the end of this week, so it's not going to be long. And I'm comfortable making that decision and communicating that as necessary.
Excellent. Okay. So, moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. Thanks, Bob. Probate court billing.
I always like following up on posting rules. So this should be very easy and quick to explain. We discovered there was an additional line of expenditure in the probate court budget for 2025, which is what we're operating under now. And there were charges against that in November and in January. And I did not know about the additional line or the charges. So I'm asking you all to remove the charges and remove the line. It was entitled legal. And it appears to be the personnel issue that happened in September, October. So that's my request.
Mr. Chair?
Tom?
I have a couple of questions, if I may.
Go ahead.
So my understanding, this was decided by the previous commissioners, is that correct?
That's correct.
Was it done in the public meeting?
No. When it was an issue of coding when it came to the commissioners, and we don't necessarily do coding in public meetings. It was a question from the bookkeeper, where did she want this charged to?
I would suggest it is a public meeting once you did that. So where else have we done? So you did that in a phone call, email, from what I understand. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. So I asked this question before. Tiffany answered it, but what have we done before on past investigations? And Tiffany, I think indicated to me she didn't have knowledge of any. I had two. One.
No, I wasn't sure
about,
because I'm not directly in finance in terms of that, so I wasn't sure what the past.
I understand.
Yeah.
So I understand that there were two. One was in a case that I got involved in and looking into, and I found all the information in the legal file, including the purchase orders and the requests and all kinds of things that went to the legal firm, so it was covered under legal. And then the second one, and I'm not sure where it went, but there was an investigation called the Howard investigation that was done back in 2023. I don't know where that was charged to.
What was it called?
The Howard investigation. Howard, the group that did it was Howard. That was the name. I just call it the Howard investigation. I'm not sure what that was charged to, but I don't suspect it was charged to the probate account or to the account of those individuals that were involved. That's confidential information, but I just know that the Howard investigation took place. So my motion is that it basically be taken out of the probate account and charged appropriately someplace to the legal account. So I make that as a motion.
I will second that motion.
Donna?
You're not supposed to be calling up and getting answers or votes over the phone. That's an illegal meeting, so you have to stop that.
Okay, duly noted.
Okay, and I'm gonna bring this to the attention of the right to know people.
Please do.
You gotta stop it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. That we state it again, please?
I move the money from the probate account to legal, which seems to be the precedent that was set before.
And where do you want that money moved to?
Legal.
It is under legal.
But it was in her budget.
So every department has a legal line. Whether they budget for it or not, there's a legal line in every department's budget.
It should go to the county legal line, not to the individual.
Okay. Pam?
In your budget, traditionally, and including in the current budget, there is one legal line, and it's in the county commissioner's department. The reason for that is the county commissioners have the authority to hire a legal firm to represent the county. That's why it's in your department. It's budgeted for every year, and it's your responsibility to see that you pre-approve any legal services. That's where the legal line is. Now, in theory, an accountant could, because it's the same number, an accountant could put it in every department in Franklin County. But what does that mean? Does that mean if it's in the jail administrator can go out and hire a lawyer? If it's in my department, does that mean that I can go out and hire a lawyer? It's really in the commissioner's budget, because you have the authority to authorize the contractual relationship with a law firm.
Do you guys, wait a minute, do you guys have any other discussion, Ben? I want to get our stuff first. Okay, Donna.
How much is this amount that you're discussing?
I can't think of it off the top of my head.
About $8,000.
Yeah, yeah. 8, 9, I think, total.
What's the amount?
Total. And I would ask that somebody review this. It appears that there was a double payment. And I say that because in my correspondence with the office, I received both vouchers from, it looks like the firm Drummond and Woodson sent their vouchers to the attorney hired by the county. And there was one in October, and I think there was I think it's sort of the check crossed in the mail. So there was an original voucher of about $4,300 in October, and then there was another bill in January, and it said past due over $4,300. But from the county's records, that was paid. The October bill was paid in November, and then so I think it was paid again. So the total amount was, get that. So if the first voucher of $4,399.72 was paid, and it looks like from the county records it was, and then there was another payment of $146.80. So I think somebody who has the ability should double check and see if that was a double payment of that October bill. The only thing I would like to add, Mr. Chair, if I may, is that I personally checked all our budgets of the probate department in the 5 years I've been here. We have never, I respectfully disagree with the county administrator, we have never had a legal line. I then called former Register of Probate Joyce Morton and asked, have they ever had a probate or a legal line in the probate budget? And she said no. And in this particular, we had to propose a budget for this upcoming year called the 26 budget. There is no legal line. My concern is this line was added after the 25 budget was approved and sent to the state auditor. And so if you wanted to add a line, you could have done so in this next budget year, our current budget year that we're budgeting for. But that was not done. And also, I was not notified of the additional line after budget's approved or the charges. We don't need a legal line. We have a line for court-appointed attorneys, and I think that's how we missed it at first. We thought, oh, this was for court-appointed attorneys, meaning I appoint an attorney to represent a person per the statute. They send an invoice, we approve it, I approve it, the registrar approves it, and then we send it on for payment, but that's not it. This was for legal services that we never requested So that's why I'm requesting that.
Good, Tom.
Margot, before you leave, can I ask you a question? Typically, when charges are made against your entity, and I really don't know what they might be, but hypothetically, if there's a charge made to your workshop, are you made aware of it before, during, after, or any time during that process? Is a general rule?
Yes, because there have been historic expenditure lines within a department. So we have like court-appointed line, meaning we have, and visitors, our visitors, a person who goes out on an adult guardianship, speaks to the person who may need a guardian appointed. It's called a respondent. So that's a specific line that we may have to pay. Stenographer, computers. So the computers, I guess, I don't really know. I think that's in conjunction with the IT department. We have to get that resolved.
So when a charge is made against your lines, are you made aware of it? Do you sign off on that, or is it just done and you look at it after the fact? How does that work?
Right, so either registered Jordan, so if we got a bill for office supplies, pens, pads, and paper, yes, she would approve that. If it's court-appointed fees, meaning a lawyer I've appointed to represent a child on a minor guardianship, that attorney has to send us an invoice. I scrutinize that invoice because I have issued an order appointing the person saying this is how much you're going to be paid an hour and this is how many hours you can invest in this case. If you need more time, I have to authorize that. So indeed, I authorize those bills.
So is there any time, can you think of any incident where you have been charged for something without knowing about it in advance?
I cannot.
Except for this one time.
Right.
Thank you.
Amy?
So I just want to be clear, nobody changed their budget. Absolutely did not happen. And the budget versus an expense line that doesn't have an actual budget to it is different than what is being described here. There was no change to the county budget at all. Before, after, and even since then, since it's been sent to the state, there was every department has a legal expense code. We don't budget for all of those legal expense codes. Typically, they do come out of the county commissioner's legal expense code. However, nobody increased or decreased anyone's budget. So I just want to make that very, very clear. Drummond Woodsum had reimbursed us the $4,300, so that has already been taken care of as well. I just want to make sure that we're not giving out misinformation.
Hi, thank you.
I just want to clarify, all I'm saying is that this should be moved out of that budget. I don't disagree with what you just said. I think it might be moved out of the probate budget, or it shouldn't be into the legal. That is my motion was.
Okay. So, can you restate your motion, please?
Yeah, the money that was charged to probate, whatever the net is now, we would charge to the county legal budget, which has been done in the past.
That was what I said.
Second. Any more discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Okay. Letter of support for the Arnold Trail Snowmobile Club. Sorry, strategic planning invoice, I'm sorry. Tom, you would?
Yeah, I think partially answered it by what relieved my questions, and maybe I can come back and just go through that with you personally. But I'm trying to sort out the word non-restricted funds. I'm trying to put this like in my own mind. Sorry, maybe I'm saying my allocated funds that's my bank account. I'm writing my checks out of my allocated. I'm using.
So allocated funds are your reserve accounts and your general fund. They are specifically set in this account for a specific purpose, whether it's through the annual budget process or through the reserves that are set aside for future and those needs are associated with capital expenses.
I think I agree. I'm talking about my personal account. I know that's my personal check. If I put in terms that I can grab onto it, because that's my checkbook. That's what I know I have to spend. I've allocated money. At the end of the year, I have surplus. And that surplus, I decide how I want to spend that. But that's at the end of the year. And we have a statute that actually tells us how we have to spend the surplus. And then it gets into non-restricted, which we kind of went through. I would just like, if I could, meet with you guys to understand this better as we get into the budget season. Because I think I understand, so ultimately my question was, where did money for the strategic plan come from? That was the problem question, and as I started thinking, these are the things that kind of confused me a little bit. That's really what my question was, which we didn't know at the time. Where did that money get charged?
Advertising.
Advertising. Okay.
Okay, I don't think we need a motion here, do we?
No, don't need anything.
Are you satisfied?
I'm satisfied.
Okay, very good, we'll move on. Letter of support for the Arnold Trail Snowmobile Club. I received an email from Steve St. Jean, who's the first selectman in Eustis, and they're applying for a grant through the Northern Border Commission to build a groomer shed, and he was asking for a letter of support. I think you see it in your packet, we drafted, and we're looking for approval for me to sign it in support of the Arnold Trail Snowmobile Club.
So I'll make the motion to sign the letter.
Okay. Moved and seconded. Any more discussion? Oh, easy there, big boy. All in favor? Thank you. Whole business, commissioner meeting, operation, ground rules. We have all seen it, gone through it several times.
Mr. Chair, I will move that we accept the ground rules as presented, noting that we are able, within those ground rules, there's room to amend those at any time.
I would second that, and I'd just add that it also is, there's a question, I'll second and then wait to see if anybody else has a conversation.
Okay, it's seconded to adopt the ground rules. Discussion.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
One of the questions that was asked in the beginning is how do we know that as commissioners we accept these into the future? Because they're not their guidance, if you will. And so what I would, and I think it's stated in the ground rules, at least a minimum of every January, we'll look them over, see if they're still functioning, change them or whatever as appropriate. And as good Commissioner Schofield said, if we find something that's not working, we'll go back and try something. I appreciate the input of everyone.
So it's been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. Okay, miscellaneous.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
At our last meeting, we had a vote to send a letter of support for the judicial system to consider a judicial center in Franklin County. Judge Jolly has since given us information that we've all received from the court system where they have appeared before the legislature asking for authority to raise their bonding limit by $200 million so that they can serve 3 other centers. So that seemed to, on one hand, say we weren't on the list, probably never will be on the list. But on the other hand, it makes me think that maybe we should put this on hold for a short period of time until we can find out what's the most strategic way to have the judicial system in the state look at our county courthouse and come up with a longer range plan than what we have. We're moving all the county employees up with the exception of deeds, probate, the district attorney, and so it seems to be pretty much a judicial center in itself, but it's an old building, and we're faced with having to spend county dollars maintaining that old building, and it would seem to me that the judicial system would have a greater interest now than they had in the past. Maybe they aren't aware of it. Maybe they aren't aware of what we're doing and why they should have more interest. I don't know how the best way to be most strategic about it so that we aren't just wasting the letter. So maybe a little bit of work with our state representatives in the past who might know what's the best way to influence this, as well as the work that Margot has done for us. So I don't want to discount that we shouldn't do that. I just thought maybe we should put it on hold until we find out the most strategic way to move forward, if that's all right. Okay.
Donna?
If you go back to your minutes of 2009, 2010, around there was a move to move Franklin County Court, Superior Court, into getting done. But commissioners and the people did not want to buy the Church Street building. So it was going to be moved forward for security of residents and the public and security of inmates. So that was dropped when the idea was dropped by the Church Street building. So
And that was in 2009, you said?
2009, 2010. They
So
wanted to build a dispatch center, so they had all these ideas, and then people said, no, they want a standalone dispatch center. And so the court, that John Cleveland did the TIF, and that was, he was gonna be able to try and move the court. People came to talk and said they'd move it forward because there is really no, well, there's gonna be more security now.
Yeah.
But when you bring the inmates in, no offense to any inmates, you're bringing them right past the public.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. Okay. So, Fen, I guess, are you going to champion this?
I will champion this with the help of maybe Tom Schofield or Tom Saviello, both are experts in this field, as well as Judge Jolly, if she'll consider moving forward with it. Because I do think that it's more of a judicial issue now and in the future than it has been in the past. And I would hope that, if nothing else, that we get the judicial system to come up with some architectural designs and a long-range plan for us. Because if there is a long-range plan, then it is greater likelihood that we can go to the legislature and ask for something to be implemented.
What I would suggest is the three of us in an open meeting, which we advertise, we get together, kind of brainstorm this out as to what we think might happen. We involve the judge and perhaps the DA, just to have that kind of general conversation of what our next steps might be. Because what I'm thinking off the top of my head, and correct me if I'm wrong, you've got to introduce the idea, and we're probably 2 years away from that. It won't be this legislature that's in place, it will be the next legislature in place, and be prepared to go there. But we have a good time to have a conversation. So we would have if it was all right with everybody, the three of us, plus the DA and the judge get together and have kind of hash out what we'd like to do, figure out a timeline. That's my recommendation.
I think what Commissioner Saviello indicates is very accurate. It's at least, it won't be this session, it won't probably be this legislature. We're looking at the 139, whatever it is, I lost track, before it would be implemented.
Okay. Amy, go ahead.
So in your flower folder, there is an invoice or a detailed expense for the furniture from the building from Creative Operations. Currently, we're anticipating the budget through the construction and soft costs of about $65,000. The budget for the furniture is $88,000 and change. I would like authority to either sign that or have the chair sign the invoice for Creative Office Solutions and authorization to utilize the building reserve account for the county as well as for the equipment reserve account for the sheriff to purchase the remaining equipment, which was about $20,000. So I'm looking for authorization to utilize the reserve accounts we have in place for the sheriff's department equipment as well as the building reserve account to make the difference up in the $88,000. But somebody needs to sign that.
And I just want to piggyback on that because I go to the construction meetings every week, and we're working with the contractor, and, we're getting down, and all of a sudden, we're really starting to split hairs, and we looked at the furniture line, and one thing that they proposed was horrible. The company that was going to do it, it was horrible. You have this brand new building, and you've got some outdated school desks out there. It's a professional building. We should have it. We shouldn't have mismatched old chairs. Although we are going to reuse a lot of the chairs that we have in the commissioner's office now. So this has been dissected. I know Sue and Amy and Tiffany were going through it the other day, and they were literally counting chairs in the office that we could use. So I would support that. Go ahead.
So my question is, what are we using interest? This is the case, again, my understanding.
Absolutely.
So I would prefer, rather than take it out of the reserve accounts, is take it out of the interest.
Sure.
Okay, so my motion would be to make up this deficit out of the unrestricted interest account rather than the reserve account.
For ARPA or for just the county?
Okay, but one of the things is what.
I will second that.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. Discussion is, we keep talking about that ARPA account. We're hitting it pretty hard. What do we have? I mean,
We have roughly $280,000, and that doesn't include the last 2 months worth of interest.
okay,
So, we've allocated.
December 31st.
Yeah, we've allocated for the for the courthouse renovation 70.
okay.
So this would be another 20.
I just don't want to keep hitting the account and find out there's nothing there, so. I do that quite often in my business, so. Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we use ARPA interest to pay the rough difference of $20,000 for the soft cost line for the new building. Any more discussion?
Yes, I have a question, Mr. Chair. Roughly, what will this leave us in the ARPA account when those two things are deducted? Does anybody know?
190, roughly. And we're still incurring interest. We still have it invested. It's just been a much smaller amount because we've used it.
Somewhere in the 90.
190.
Any more discussion?
Who's signing it?
Chair.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that in the motion.
Just to clarify that the chair would be the one.
Yes. I'm on the hook for it, I get it. So, all in favor? Unanimous. Tom?
A couple of things. I did send it to Jamie, and this indicated with her a potential schedule. We talked about that as potential, and I asked her to email that out for you guys to look at. I took a shot at basically the number of weeks we have, looking at moving one meeting to the evening, one meeting to the morning, and then visiting some of our communities. What throws a bringer into it, which is my second point, I've never been through this detailed budgeting with the counties, so I don't know how that factors into it, so perhaps you can feed into that with that. So she's going to send that out just so you can review it, and maybe we can talk about it at the next meeting. And then associated with that, if we could, when in Wilton, again, we had better control over who was going to be on the budget committee. I'd like to get a rough idea of what the schedule, how often, just using the past as an example. When will the caucus, I haven't even asked the question, when will the caucuses meet to event? When will we be meeting, when will they be meeting? We just know that I've got my month, I need to make sure that on Tuesdays, probably for the whole month of May, I'm going to be involved. I just would like that.
So the budget committee sets their own meetings. So until they actually meet, we don't dictate to them when they meet. They tell us when to show up when we show up. So it is not a function of the county dictating that schedule. It's a function of the caucus and whoever becomes the committee.
That helps a lot. When will we have, in your best guess, the caucus elections? Because I've been asked that too.
So I'm not sure. We're hoping, typically we do it the last meeting, the last week of March. But we really need to get through the budget review process with the commissioners, so we can set it shortly. We usually send out a letter to the towns and give them how many seats they have open, and give them the date. We've been in communication about what that's going to look like. That way they get at the caucus, the general understanding we're trying to do is give them the book. So if you are going to be on the budget committee and you come to the caucus, we're handing you over the budget book that has been reviewed by the commissioners. So that's how we have handled it in the past. We tried to make it a little more expeditious because sometimes they'll just need to set like who's the chair and the norms for the meeting instead of hitting the ground running, which I prefer to hit the ground running. So we've been trying to be more proactive in getting them information so that they can review it and then not only just have a 10-minute meeting, but have an actual, let's go through a few of these department budgets, as well as setting the norms.
Ma'am?
Good.
For us as commissioners, should we plan a separate meeting to go through the budget, or when we put this together, we're actually going to look at it first, correct?
Yep.
So when do we do that?
So the commissioners have to review the budget and approve it to go to the budget committee. That happens before the budget committee meets. So it is separate. We have in the past had commissioners that attend the budget committee meetings. That's not compulsory.
I understand. I just want to go back. Can we do that during the budget review with us?
Yeah.
In our regular meeting?
No, we've not done that. It's a 2 to 3 hour meeting. So, but I can't. I'm waiting. So we have to do the salary structure meeting first, and I was hoping that that would come up in the miscellaneous, that we could reschedule that, and then I can produce a budget for you. But I can't really do that until we do the salary structure.
It's on my list of questions.
Go ahead, Nate.
Hi, Nathan Hills, Wilton. The question had come up a second ago about the caucusing scheduling, and I know it's a little bit different this year. Last year, you waited until the day after Farmington's annual town meeting to have it. This year, the way it's written, I understand that it would be possible for each district to caucus separately. Like districts 3, 4, 5 can have theirs whenever they want to. Like they wouldn't even have to be at the same day or time as the other ones. That would make it scheduling easier. It would also possibly increase attendance from those districts if they could have it at a different location, as opposed to having to wait for one day where all the people from all 5 districts are. And that way you'd only be waiting for districts 1 and 2 to be after Farmington's annual town meeting. Just wanted to make that comment about the caucusing.
Thank you, Nate. That's a good point. Very good point.
So we've done, historically, we've done it all together. And we've had some hiccups with the caucus in the past and had to re-caucus. And it is, I'm not trying to undermine what Mr. Hills is saying. It's just, it's an undertaking. And we want to make sure we get it right the first time. So I would, I'm just concerned about doing it in multiple locations and not having a handle on what that looks like. Because we can't be in multiple places all at the same time. So I think that we've always had it in one place and had everybody come to us. That way we're overseeing the process and making sure that it meets the standard.
Thanks. 2 quick questions. Yes, 2 representatives from each district, and then one's floating. And what are the terms of the budget committee members?
That's a great question.
Nate, go ahead.
District 1 has 2 one-year terms and a 2-year term.
Okay.
District 2 has a 1-year term and a 2-year term. Districts 3 and 4 have a 2-year term and a 3-year term. District 5 has a 1-year term and a 3-year term. If it's written down there, I can give you paper if you want.
Three staggers, basically.
Yes, yes.
Only 3-year terms have.
So the second question is, we had a brief conversation about this where I suggested that we pay mileage for people living more than 10 miles away. Because we really have a hard time getting people in northern Franklin County driving all the way down to southern Franklin County. And I would guess if you had people in southern Franklin County having to go to northern Franklin County, they'd probably feel the same way. So did we ever find out whether we could provide mileage to the budget committee members who are attending the meetings?
We can do whatever you like.
Excellent.
That's the answer you wanted, right?
That's exactly
Whatever
right.
you want, she said whatever you want.
Pretty good.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
The only thing I think is an advantage, and I understand the administrator's concern, it fits back to what I believe Commissioner Fowler said when we voted whether we needed to go to the legislature. If you want to encourage those people that are further out to be part of that, having them be able to caucus out, you may get more people involved than waiting until you have it recorded for them to all come down here, because they might say, I'm interested, but I'm not driving all the way down there, and I would leave it up to you guys. For us, it's pretty easy. For both of them, I go pretty easy, and actually for Jeff too, because he's just got 2, but for you guys, it's really, how do you feel about that? And do you think it makes sense, and where would you do it?
6 of one, half done to the other. Struggle to get from the northern part of the county to get budget committee, and budget committee members, and I've actually been talking to some selectmen saying, hey, come on, here's your chance, let's go. But to Amy's point is when they come down and they have a meeting and they get there and they set up and they said, okay, we're gonna have a meeting and we're gonna schedule our meetings and okay, we're done. So someone just drove 50 miles one way and 50 miles back to sit there for a 15-minute meeting. So I think we have to encourage whoever chairs the budget committee to be thoughtful of time and mileage and so on and so forth. I think it's a great idea to pay mileage. I encourage, we never get the very northern part of the county involved. And to Tom's credit, when he looked at the districts and that District 3 and 4 pay 60% of the county taxes, you think they'd want to see it at the table. So, Donna, go ahead.
Okay, I don't understand the reason why you're not getting people involved. When I first started, Carrie Keefe from Major League Plantation was a budget committee. You've had Bob Moose from Carabasset Valley. You've got one from Kingfield, one from Phillips. Mike Pond was from Strong. There's all around, so I don't get the problem.
The county goes beyond Kingfield and Phillips. It goes on to Rangeley, the plantations.
Don't they have to be a selectman?
What's that?
Don't they have to be a selectman?
Yes. Bob Luce is not going to do it anymore.
Okay, but I'm just saying that you have had people come.
We have, but the interest is hard. I mean, Morgan Dunham is every year, but she comes to the first meeting and then doesn't come
She
anymore.
zooms in a lot.
Yeah, but I mean, and I'm not faulting her. I'm really happy that she participates. It's one of those things where the people that scream the loudest should be right there.
I would be.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
the chance.
So,
If I may, I don't mean to interrupt the meeting, but last year I distinctly remember that the northern part of the county had the biggest contingent show up at caucus.
yeah,
And I think that's pretty historical.
yeah. And I guess I'm trying to go even further into the Rangeley and the plantations.
We had
because-
Ranger there last year.
Yeah.
We had Ranger Plantation
Yeah,
there last
yeah.
year. We had Kingfield
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
Strong. I don't think we had anybody from Phillips.
Yes, we did, January.
So, you haven't got too many more towns.
No, I know, and I just feel like I want to, and I would encourage the other commissioners to talk to selectmen in their districts that, this is your chance right here. You want to see the table, this is the time to do it, so. Okay, good.
Can we reschedule the meeting that was supposed to happen last week?
Yes, yes, next thing, the work session. calendar's out. Do you have any proposed dates? Some nice good
What about Monday?
Monday, the 10th. That will work for me. Yeah? Monday, what time, yeah? Are you working that day?
I don't know yet.
So if you do work, it'll be,
Yeah, so I mean, you want to,
late in the day?
what's better for you guys?
I'm good. I'll be here.
I'm pretty.
Ideally not first thing in the morning, we are onboarding new staff,
I
so.
want to do like
If you're doing it on the 10th.
1 or 2.
1 o'clock? 2 o'clock? 1:30?
Yeah, 1:30.
1:30 on Monday, the 10th?
Begin at 1:30.
Yeah.
And where?
Courthouse. That work for everybody?
Can we get some material in advance of that?
Yep. We'll put it together.
You got my list of things that I was.
I did, yep.
I have a couple of little minor things.
Go ahead.
Because we are subject to Freedom of Information Act, we're not allowed to talk to each other except in this forum. Some of the stuff that I will probably bring up in the next 4 years will to the audience seem to be quite mundane and unimportant. But bear in mind, this is the only place and time, as Ms. Perry will attest, that we can actually talk to one another. So I will bring up a couple of things that may seem minor. Let me also say, and I have a question, that we 5 can't talk to one another if there are more than 2 of us in the room. I don't think that same prohibition exists for anybody else here. Maybe it does, I just don't think it does, or at least it hasn't been practiced. And I'm not picking on anybody, but I think the Register of Deeds and the Register of Probate, the Judge of Probate, the Treasurer, they can all get together in a room and chit-chat and talk and make all kinds of thoughts and come up with all kinds of ideas and plans. No one would question that. No one would think that there was anything wrong with that. Is there anything wrong with that? I don't know. But they have the opportunity to develop plans and ideas where we don't. And that's fine, but I think the rules of the road are not always level and fair. If Commissioner Saviello, Commissioner Carlton and I get together for coffee and we talk about going fishing next Saturday on Webb Lake, there are those in the room who say, well, look at those 3 guys, they're over there plotting and planning. But if people in the courthouse get together and coffee and sit and chat, no one says, they're plotting and planning. That bothers me. Now, and after I get done, Nate, I'll let you speak if it's okay with the chair. So here's a couple of mine. So I've got that off my chest. Now, whether that's valid argument or whether it's an invalid argument, I'll let you determine that. But just something to consider and think about. Now, a couple of the mundane, minor little things that I can only talk about while we are all together in a public forum is a couple of little minor things. One is our web page. Our web page, I think we agree, could use some tinkering. There's some things about it that need to be brought up to speed, and it doesn't dazzle the eye, at least it doesn't dazzle my eye, and I'm quite easily dazzled, but it doesn't dazzle me. One of the things I noted is that Franklin County is the foothills of Maine. The foothills of Maine. I think of southern Oxford County as being the foothills of Maine. We are the high peaks region of Maine. Those mountains up there in northern Franklin County, not in Farmington, Titcomb, you can count that a foothill, but up in northern Franklin County, those are mountains, foothills. So that's a minor little thing, but on our website, we should claim those mountains and be proud of them and speak of them in terms of mountains or high peaks rather than mere foothills. The other thing I would like to bring up is that it's becoming increasingly important. In my life, throughout my career, I've always had business cards. And so when I introduce myself to someone or someone asks me, I don't have to say, you got a scrap of paper I can write my name and phone number on. I don't know if we do that in county government. I don't know if the county administrator has business cards. I don't know if the judge of probate has business cards. I don't know. But I think we ought to have business cards. And once again, that may seem like a minor thing, but the only time I can talk about that is at this forum. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
So no, let me just go to Nate first. Nate, go ahead.
Hi, Nathan Hiltz, Wilton. I'm glad you brought up the point about the quorum. I would love to talk about like that stuff with more people. I think we need it as a society. We need a space to have conversations like that. My reaction to what you're saying is that if you look at the legal system, the legal process is intentionally imbalanced against the state. It's for the defendant because they know the state has more resources. So we look at elected officials, a board, whoever's at the top of the chart, it should be imbalanced against them. I support for the philosophical design, because if you even the scales, then the more powerful people will always oppress the people who are, lower on the totem pole. And this is a business card. Oxford County Commissioner gave me this, so they knew in Oxford. If anyone's curious, as a comparison.
Thank you. Thank you. Jamie, did you have a question?
I'm in the process of designing your cards right now. So you will have them. I'm in the process of designing.
Tom.
So I understand, having lived the public records thing for probably close to a third, if not more, of my life, being on the Pesticide Control Board and having to be the judge at one time, having served in the legislature, having served in a whole bunch of things. So I actually got to offer something to all of us, anybody that wants to attend. I've talked to my good friend Judy Meyer, and she's no longer, she's retired, but I offered at my expense to bring her up here to do a public meeting training session. I don't have a date, it's probably going to be in the evening, but you're all invited to that. Judy and I have gone round and around about this. Well, I'm not before that. And I respect her because I do bounce ideas off of her when she was in that position. She's not there anymore, but she's agreed to do that, and it'll be at my nickel. And I'll find a place, and I'll find a time, and I invite anybody that wants to attend that workshop. I think it's really important because we are handcuffed in a way, but in the same way we're elected, and the public has the right to know what we decide and what we don't decide. So I want to offer that.
Okay.
I will get more information. I have a couple other things, but I want to.
Okay, I got a couple things I want to weigh on real quick. The month of March in Franklin County is going to be off the charts busy. And I say that because we are moving out of the county courthouse. We're renovating the county courthouse. We're putting new windows in the county courthouse. We're moving the DA into the county courthouse. We're moving into temporarily we'll be displaced at wherever people will have us. The commissioner's office is going to be in different places. We'll be moving into our new emergency operations center. It's budget season, and I have an idea, Tom, for budget season. So I'm just putting it out to all of us that just please be mindful of that, because it's going to be nuts. And when I say nuts, budget season alone is crazy. Am I right, Donna? It's busy, it's meeting. Then you throw all this stuff on top of it, it's gonna be crazy. The one thing that I think might help the other commissioners is a timeline or a schematic of how this whole process works. You know, from the time the departments submit their proposals, right straight through, all the way through. And because we all know it, but these guys have never been, well, Fen, you've been kind of through it a couple of times. It can be daunting for the people that have not been through it. So I think that might be helpful for the other commissioners. And what else? And yeah, March is, I mean, I looked at the calendar and I just said, I want to run away. It's going to be crazy. And that's just county stuff. Don't add in your own personal life to that. It's going to be ridiculous. That's all I have.
Mr. Chair, a couple of things.
Go ahead.
Just update on legislation. I had,
Lawrence.
sorry, not Lauren. Oh, anyway, I sent out to you the legislative review I get. If that's something you like, we'll continue to do that. I'll send it to Jamie and she'll send it out to you. Just a couple things. Thanks to Bob and to Tom on the race to the road, Weld Road. Tom did a wonderful job testifying over his phone. And Bob and Tom are going to go to the meeting to continue that conversation. I got to talk to Heidi a little bit because what came out in the meeting that Monday before was something about a change that the court system has made to the probate office that could have an influence on our budget and how things are run here. I need to clarify that. And then there was a hearing yesterday where they requested 30% payment towards our jails. I didn't go, I talked with the sheriff, we didn't think it was necessary for me to go, but that has been, that conversation, that dialogue was done. Just wanted you to know that. I found a place for Margot to have her court. It's on the 3rd floor. It's the EM Emergency Response Office. Once that's emptied out, all the radios and all that stuff.
Radio room.
The radio room.
We've all been up there.
Yeah, it's a perfect place for it. It's private and so forth. So, and I talked to Amanda this morning. It should work out perfect for you when you're done. It's quiet. I don't know if you've been up yet, but you probably should. So, the other question just comes up from the building. It's gone. We talked about the renovations at being 50K. It's going to be 70K now.
So you gave me authorization up to 70,000. We have a few additional costs that have popped up here and there. Just it's an old building. That tends to be what happens. I've asked facilities to give me a budget as to where we are with each one, and as soon as I have that, I'll email that out to everybody.
So we don't have to go to bid on that?
So we're doing the construction in-house. And everything else is pretty much broken out by vendor. We wouldn't want to use a different vendor than the vendor that put in heat pumps. We're using that vendor. And the electrical, we were lucky to get somebody, and technically we should have gone out to bid for it, but he's the only person that we have working in the courthouse right now as far as our electrician. So that's a decision you guys need to make. We haven't obviously purchased anything, but we do have an order for the switch. We didn't anticipate it costing more than $10,000, and it is definitely costing more than $10,000.
Is that the switch or the installation?
Switch and the installation.
So my concern is that I think we should, my personal opinion, I think we should go out to bid. I'm trying to get comfortable with all of this. Everybody needs to have the ability. In the past, we get upset with people that didn't go out to bid. I think we should go out to bid. And the other thing I think I sent to Bob, do we have the fires?
Yeah.
You have his approval?
Yeah.
As of?
I believe that he came and did a walkthrough with Nick on 2 weeks ago, and was satisfied with the improvements
March, if you don't have a permit, you should probably call and verify that you don't have.
We'll do that.
So I think we should go out to bid on the transfer. We have to be consistent with how we do business.
It's not just the transfer, it's
Installation and transfer switches over $7,500, I assume. So we need to be consistent with how we do business. This is the case we need to go out to bid. That's my opinion. And I can't make a motion because it's not on the agenda. But I think we should. We've got to be consistent with what we do as business. And I'm pretty sure about the fire marshal because I had a conversation. You're right, we did talk to the town, I talked to the fire chief, TPA, Nick talked to TPA about the doors, and you don't need a permit from the town. You need one from the fire.
okay. Ben,
At the work session on Monday, I'd like to just present kind of an outline for the Sandy River associations that I've been working on. And the plan is to try to hold a series of public listening sessions in each one of your districts. And I'd just like maybe 15 minutes to have feedback from you in regards to how that might work, what your thoughts are about that. So,
can you get it to Amy?
yes.
Okay. Yeah, we don't want to put too much on there though,
No,
because we want to
15
be,
minutes is fine.
yeah, okay. Any other items under miscellaneous? Okay, warrants.
Move second warrants.
Second.
Okay, moving second, we sign the warrants, all in favor?
Nancy, Tom, Nancy.
Tom?
I did, I'm just gonna sign it, but I did.
Okay, unanimous.
Unanimous.
Okay, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So I will move that we adjourn this meeting.
Moved and seconded by Fan.